Well, I want to start by explaining a little bit about this barn or shed. I found out in my renovations here, I don't know if you can read that, it says TNT 11/4/1913. So I'm assuming that's when this was originally built. It was just a square old wooden barn, and a tornado came along in around 1970, I've been told, and it took it down, and then they built this shed over it. And so I wanted to renovate it. Here, I'll put up a picture of what it looked like here. And the foundation was starting to crack and come apart, and but there's very few videos on YouTube about renovating old sheds like this. And I've been told, oh, just don't bother with it, just start over. But I didn't want to do that. And so that's what I did here. It took me, I don't know, half a year doing it myself, what I could do. And so I'm going to do some series, maybe 3 series of renovating it with a lot of still pictures, some video, and just give some other guys some ideas. I got my junk pile back here, but give you some ideas on what you could do with your own shed that may need refurbing. It's the back side of the lean-to here. This is all more or less what it looked like. I've had it for years. I'd put this OSB on it to kind of fill in some of the door space, make it a little more animal proof here. So you can see the foundation has some cracks, and I've repaired some, not fantastic, but it was fairly secure in this area. Oh, and that step there, I don't know if you can see it, it says like 1953 or so. So I reused that. I had to lift that back up. It's all my little tractor could do to lift that chunk of concrete up. But right along here, the foundation was really pushing out. So I had you'll see in the photos how I repaired that. It's not a perfect job, but it's good enough. I believe what I used here was rapid set, rapid hardening concrete mix. And the key is to water the concrete surfaces, and I would throw in some rocks in there too, some small rocks, and keep them wet as I would throw that concrete mix in there and build it up a little at a time. I didn't have too much trouble with cracking. I used it in my basement for probably about 6-inch thick crack that I had, and it worked excellent. This is what it looks like after I redid the bottom of that foundation. I know I got some pictures when I was doing it, but this is what it looks like now. The key is to do it in layers. Don't try to get it real thick at one time. Well, the first thing I got my small backhoe tractor in there and started pounding at this concrete. I'd actually use a sledgehammer to crack it up. It wasn't that thick or strong, and it was already cracked. So I just kept working at it like this, and a lot of the times I'd actually have to throw the concrete into my bucket by hand, but it wasn't too bad. And I started making my pile outside there, and sometimes I could get a big chunk like there with my forks, and that's the one that probably had that date that I put outside. First thing I did was got some loads of 1/4-inch limestone and I had it hauled in. I ended up using 3 trucks full of limestone, but I'd put it in layers, like 2-inch or 3-inch layers. Then I would start packing it with a vibrator tool I'd bought from Harbor Freight. That was gas powered. And I just kept building it up. And you can see the original barn foundation there in the middle. And we ended up putting that limestone up to that level. I would always wet it down between layers, and so it'd be good and soppy, and then I would use a vibrator to tamp that down, and that worked pretty good. And here I'm working on the other side, and sometimes I can get the scoop underneath there and get it lifted up, and then I'd just take a sledgehammer and just break it in half. Or well, I'd break in multiple pieces, really. Here's that corner that was pushed out. Here I'm digging that completely out there on the inside, all the way down, which was about 18 to 20 inches. And you can see how far out it's pushed here. And that happened over the years. So I got that dug out, and then I got my tractor on the outside with this 2x6 or so, and got it pushed back. And when I got it pushed back all the way, I would take I think it was a 1/2-inch self-tapping bolt into that concrete through the seal plate, which was a 4x6 seal plate, and go back down into the concrete to hold it. You can see a bolt there, and I've pushed that back. This is on the inside view here. And then I would repair with that concrete rapid set on the outside and on the inside to help seal it up. And then I would fill it back in with dirt. And I'd have to use this hand tamper to get into the corners, because that vibrator machine would not get into the corners. But that all worked. And then go back in there with that limestone and keep working that back in layers. So here we're getting close to the level there of the barn foundation. And here's one of my final layers. You can see I'm kind of spread it out there. And then I would hook up this 2x4 to screed the limestone. And here I found that in the pile, that date. And I didn't realize that until the rain had washed that off. Said, I'm going to put that in front of my building. And so that's what you saw in the first video. And here I've actually spread the limestone on the inside. After that was done, I came on the outside and spread limestone to help stabilize that foundation. And after the limestone was spread, I put 3/4-inch hard rock that would use on our driveway over that limestone. And here we got a snowstorm, and I found out later when the snow melted where all my leaks were in my shed. Well, it looks like it's leaking. Let me skid it here. Okay, whoops. Right up there, for some reason. We'll check some other spots. Okay, there's the spots. Right above that. It appears to be dry all along here where I repaired the nail holes. The snow is melting, you can hear it there. Looks like there's some moisture here on this. Coming right up there on the roof line, on the edge, and dripping down. think everything else is dry here. Okay, you can see that I'm starting to scrape off the rock here, and I'm getting down to the ground level here, and I want to dig this out right down here and push in that insulation in here along this end here all the way over there. I need to dig it out so we can pour a foundation along with the floor. Let me back up here. This is on the north side of the shed, and there's really no foundation under this part. And I had previously put rock here, so I had to scrape that rock off to get down to the dirt. But a lot of the dirt was old manure. And along here too, where that board is. So it's going to be quite the job. I'm getting ready to tear down. I'll get rid of that manure like right there. Straw, well, I assume it's manure. It's straw and mud combination. I don't know how much I've got. It was looking pretty good. Over here I have the crushed limestone screenings, compacted fairly good. Here I need to go a little bit more. You can see about an inch along the inner foundation there that I need to add some material to. You can see the ground slopes away, and I dug it out about 18 inches towards the lean-to part, and here I'm digging out the ground that was underneath the north wall foundation. You can see how crumbly that foundation is, and I kept building it up with limestone here, so that took a lot, probably almost one truckload just in this area here. Well, here I am digging out for the dirty, thickened edges, and I dug underneath this whole section of footing here. There wasn't much holding it, but that cement's going to go all the way underneath there. You can see there's probably only that foundation there holding this whole side up. But from here I put some structural screws in that 2x8 on top of the 4x6 seal plate just to hold it up. And there was no pressure on the foundation that was there, so I just dug it out. But I'm starting to fill it up with limestone, wetting and compacting as I go. I got another truckload coming today. Here you can see that 2x8 that I structurally screwed to the studs to keep that wall from falling down. And I don't know if it really did any good, but I thought too I can use it to pull back that wall. That wall was actually pushed out about 2 inches there in the middle, and I had to pull it back. And here I had to work on the front of the shed, the entrance there, and there was a lot of metal in some of those, that concrete there. But I ended up using that busted up concrete there because it was really thick, like 8 inches thick, and I used that for part of the steps on the south side of the building. But here I had dug it out and filling it in with some limestone. But I had to work on the corner there too. You can see there's that seal plate at the top of the picture isn't engaging that post properly, and I should not have done this concrete at this time. I should have pulled that seal plate back to the left. It's about 2 inches out there, and I was able to accomplish that later. It took my tractor and a self-tapping bolt tied onto that seal plate to do it, but I got her done. You can see that I even filled in with limestone there without that seal plate being pushed all the way into that post. You can see a gap there. I think I have pictures where that's better. There you can see that seal plate's been pulled up on that all the way. See that bolt in the middle there, that blue bolt? I tied onto it with my tractor. And I also put a 2x8 there bolted to the studs and tried to pull it. And I actually split that one stud you can see in that picture, trying it that way. But I ended up pulling on that blue bolt with a chain and my tractor. I was able to shove that wall back. It must have moved out when there was some heavy wind years ago when I had the doors open for years.